Hi everyone, this is Sheridan with Garden Guys and Gal. Welcome to my house. It's Christmas. I'm super excited for it, and I wanted to show you how to make a quick and easy wreath. All you need is a lot of greenery. So I went hunting for greens and I took little snips off of a bunch of trees, shrubs. I've got cedar, I've got fir, I've got pines, I've got junipers, I've got these willows, which are really cool. Very simple. I've kind of got it laid out here, but we're going to kind of go through it step by step. So what you're going to need is a wire frame. This is a really easy way to start. You can also use a grapevine frame, or if you're really good, you can freehand this, and that's just fine also. But for the sake of ease and making life just better, we're going to do this. So you're just going to need a frame. They come in different sizes. So I've got a larger one here because I'm trying to make a much larger wreath for my front door. And so you can see I've got this large hoop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my hoop down and I just start to bundle. This is really, really easy. So I'm going to take, I've got some pruners. I've also got a paddle wire. So if you can see this, it's just a paddle with floral wire wrapped around. So this was about $3. My frame was about $5, $4 to $5, depending on the size that you get, and it's super inexpensive. And then I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna take clippings off of trees that are just out there that I can take. If I'm gonna take from a neighbor, I'm gonna ask first. Oh, I've also got rose hips. I forgot to mention that. We've got these bright, beautiful red berries. So we do have rose hips. You can also pick up things like winterberry. So winterberry comes in little red berries. You can also get them in little yellow berries. Easy to pick up. Trader Joe's, most of the floral supply stores have them. Super easy. So I'm just gonna start to bundle, and I'm gonna make little bundles, and then I'm going to create a large wreath. So I'm gonna take some pine, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my pruners and just start to kind of cut them off, because I don't want them to be any more. For this size of a frame, this is a 12-inch across, I think, or maybe it might be an 18-inch. But I don't want this to be too big. I don't want it to be too overpowering. So I'm gonna just start a little bit short. I know that when I put this on my wreath, I want it to really kind of stand out that way. And not be too big, but also not be too small. So I've got my pine. I've got some weeping Alaskan cedar, which is glorious. So we're just gonna start building this piece by piece. And you know, I have these long pieces of Alaskan cedar. I can cut them in half if I cut carefully, and I can use both halves. So that way nothing really goes to waste. And this is a little bit droopy, the Alaskan cedar is, so I'm gonna have to kind of keep these a little bit shorter. And let's see, I want some different color here. So I'm gonna add some of this white fir. This is a native species to Utah. So we've got this beautiful white fir, kind of gives me that silvery gray color that I'm looking for. And I'm actually gonna trim this a little bit. I'm gonna pull off some of these needles at the base, just because it makes my wiring a little more effective if I pull those off. So you can see I've got this nice little bundle. Let's throw some color in there. So let's do one of these willow twigs. Let's get a good one. Ooh, that one's got a really fun one right on the end. So I'm gonna add some willow, and let's add a little bit of red twig dogwood. So I'm gonna tuck this in here. I've got this beautiful piece of willow. I need one more piece of dogwood. There's one right there. And you know, you can cut them long, stick them down into the bundle so that they end up how you want them to be. And you're just gonna kind of arrange so that when it lays on the wreath, it lays the way you want it to. We can also throw in, we need a little more color. Let's throw in some of these rose hips. Just a little pop of color right there, kind of deep in the wreath. So I've got this gorgeous little bundle, and I've just kind of arranged it how I want it to lay. Now I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to start wrapping around the base. This is just going to secure my bundle, and first couple times you kind of slip and have to start again, and that's okay. But I'm gonna get this down around it and I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna make this really nice and tight because as these branches kind of desiccate and dry out a little bit, they're gonna shrink. So we want this to be nice and tight. And then I'm just gonna come back, I'm gonna trim up my ends over my garbage can. I have a garbage can over here to make things a little bit easier. And then I've got this cute little bundle. So now, as I work my way around this wreath, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my wire paddle and I'm gonna wrap it around my wire frame. And I'm gonna wrap around a couple times to make sure it's nice and secure. It's not gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna wrap it around, and that is going to be the beginning of my wreath. And then I'm gonna start taking some of these gorgeous bundles. So you can see I've got this beautiful little bundle, and I'm gonna position it, and I'm gonna wrap this around. Now I don't want to cut my wire at this point. This is what's gonna hold everything together. So I'm gonna go a couple times around that, and then I'm gonna add my next one. And I'm gonna lay these, so you can see how I've kind of alternated things. I've got white going on from that beautiful willow. You can see how they look like stars, isn't that pretty? And now I've got rose hips. And I'm gonna just kind of lay them so they go in and out of the wreath. I don't want them to all be the same direction. I want to kind of layer them so that they go all the way around. Let's grab our next one. This one's more of just greenery, and we need some of that to kind of fill. And you can see I laid that one the opposite direction, and I'm just gonna wrap around. And it kind of takes a minute to get a feel for it. And you know, if you don't like the bundles you made, tear them apart and start again. It's not that big of a deal. All right, our next one has some red twig dogwood in it. I'm gonna go this way with it. And you can see this beautiful wreath is starting to fill up. So I'm gonna work my way all the way around this wreath. Okay, so we're here at the end. I've got my wreath formed. You can see how gorgeous it is. And I've just got one little space left. And to get this in here, I'm gonna lift the bottom of the first piece I put in, and this is gonna go down in between that last bundle that I just put in and the first. So we're just gonna kind of wedge it in there. If you don't wanna do that, or if it's proving to be really difficult for you, really easy to do. You can just take and use this area for a gigantic bow. You can hang something from this area, but I want it to be kind of full and finished. So I need to make one more bundle. So I've got a little bit of spruce here that we're gonna use. A little bit of pine left over. And we're just gonna kind of piece all these together. Let's do a little more dogwood. One last gorgeous piece of willow. Just kind of get these situated how we want them. And then we're gonna fill with some of this juniper. I love the juniper because the berries on it are good sized. And it is just gorgeous. It fills beautifully. And sometimes the berries turn blue. It gives you just one more color, one more element to kind of incorporate. Let's put that one behind. So I've got all these textures of these different conifers, and it's just really fun. I love, 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 love these conifers. They're gorgeous. So one more reason to plant stuff in your yard. You can make wreaths. So let's bundle this one. I've got a second spool here that I'm working with to get things bundled. And I've made a huge mess, so I've got to clean up my house now, but that's okay. It's great fun, so worth it. If you can do this outside, even better. Let's trim this bottom up. And I made this one just a little longer so it will go down in the space and really fill this last area. Oh, that's gorgeous. That's perfect. Exactly what we needed. So I'm going to tuck that down in, and then I'm just going to work my wire down in between. Super easy. And how much do you spend on a wreath like this? You easily spend in catalogs and places where you can buy them, kind of those designer wreaths, you can easily spend $50, $70 for a wreath this size. So once we've kind of got that secured and tucked where we want it to be, I'm actually going to cut this. And if I wanted to add a ribbon at this point, I definitely could, or I could add like an H for my last name or something that says Christmas. I might need to add one more little bundle there, but it's gorgeous. How easy is that? So easy to forage, easy to find, types of conifers that you can use to make a gorgeous Christmas decoration.